We watched Tron Ares. Is the Leto curse real? I don't know. Hello, welcome to a very special edition of Beyond the Screen. We're not here with news. Well, we kind of have some news, but not in the traditional sense. We're here with a film review. We haven't done one of these in a long time. I think it's almost been a year, actually, like at least 9 months since we did our last film review, which was Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, Nosfer's Toes. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
We reviewed that back in like January, I think. I don't even remember, but it's been a long time.
I hated it so much. We didn't do a review for 9 months.
yeah, it's all Jake's fault. If you like,
I didn't want to go
reviews-
back in fear that Ryan was going to make me watch a horror movie again.
Every time we reference Nosferatu in our experience watching it together, I'll just never forget your reaction to bloodletting. I feel like I've talked about it before on the show. Yeah. Long story short, I don't like that stuff myself. So Willem Dafoe in Nosferatu, if you've ever seen it, he picks up Lily Rose Depp's arm because she's like possessed, and he's like, "We gotta save her," and he like puts a needle close to her arm, and I knew immediately what it was. I'm like, "Oh!" So I turned towards Jake, and I'm watching his reaction, and Jake, in that moment, I did not realize he did not know what bloodletting was, because Jake looks up, and he's like. You could tell in that moment he was like, "Why is he reacting that way?" And I know the second that she started bleeding because he went, "Oh!" like a reaction.
Didn't he go all the way through?
Yeah, something nasty. Yeah. And so Jake just reacted in the exact way that I was avoiding. And anyway, yeah, that's why we haven't done reviews because I tortured Jake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then he made me watch Jared Leto.
Yeah. What a way to come back, huh?
One of them was worse, and that's what we're here to find out.
I'm so sorry you had such a bad time. Let's go watch a Jared Leto movie and make up for it, okay?
No,
said nobody.
It's like I was like, do you want water torture with your?
Can we waterboard you real fast? Would that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Well. That is why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, is we didn't take the waterboarding, but we did experience Jared Leto's leading Tron Ares, a 15-year hiatus after Tron Legacy, which we have discussed if you listen to our show on Monday. We both loved, especially we were kids when it came out. It was a masterpiece for our childhood brains. So we were excited to get back into Ares, back into the world of Tron. And we're here to tell you if it's worth watching. If it's worth what we thought about it, and so on and so forth. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get into kind of like our immediate reaction. So Jake, I want you to start. After it's been a couple days.
Yeah.
What's your gut reaction now?
I think that it captures everything that like Legacy did visually, like the neon colors and the epic chase scenes and I don't know, just the amazing effects, whether practical or CGI, with the different vehicles and suits and then the performances like with Leto and Greta Lee. I just think that the script failed the whole movie, and I guess my gut reaction, my hottest take of the night will be, I guess we'll go into it for the rest of the episode, but it is the fact that like this was not on Jared Leto. Jared Leto was actually probably the peak performer in this movie. Like he carried this movie on his back, which is a crazy thing to say with the amount of hate and overall like general consensus that Leto is a curse with whatever he touches since Suicide Squad, than Morbius and among others. But my gut reaction is, I mean, 9 Inch Nails, loved it, loved the visuals, and loved Jared Leto's performance. I just think that this was a Disney script.
Yeah, excuse me. I agree. We actually share that controversial take, and as we were talking right before recording, apparently that is not so controversial around people who like are Tron fans.
Actually watched.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like, and if that's hot, it's hot. But like, in terms of a hot take, but Leto was not the problem. And so my initial gut reaction is missed opportunity. That is the biggest thing that I go forth in terms of how I perceive this movie. Almost, what are we now, 4 days away? It's the fact that there was such an opportunity for this to be something epic, following what we saw in 2010 and in as a continuation from what was started in 82. And it is that's all. That is really the biggest thing that I can say without going much further in terms of spoilers. Is just it is a missed opportunity. There's a lot of cool things they could have done and they just didn't. So with that, we'll go ahead and give you a quick breakdown of just the key story premise. We won't go, this is our spoiler free. We're not going into anything super deep story wise until later, and we'll give you guys a warning for that. But we're going to go through not only a breakdown quick of the story's premise, but we'll go over some of those performances and then talk quick about direction, style, and tone. So we'll give you guys those rundowns, and then we will move on and give you the spoiler warning and go deeper into what we thought about the story itself. So quick breakdown. This is after 15 years. So that 15 years gap between Legacy and now Ares was real, and even in the story of Tron. So we are watching back as it's giving us kind of the follow up to Legacy. So we see Sam Flynn, and we see as he takes over NCOM, he steps down and is replaced by the Kim sisters, of which Eve Kim, who's played by Greta Lee, is our main protagonist and is the new CEO of NCOM. It also reveals the other side of the AI race, where they focus on Dillinger Systems, which was a antagonist from the very beginning. We saw a little bit of it in Legacy. It was a major plot point in the original Tron. Dillinger's back in a big way, and utilizing expendable programs to further the socioeconomic war machine. And Jake wanted me, he was the one who typed that part out, and he wanted me to make sure, and I emphasized Jaden Smith after I said socioeconomic. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, expendable programs is the biggest point here. Alternatively, NCOM, they have a philanthropic goal, and that's to bring programs over to solve world hunger and other humanitarian issues. So you have both of these companies, high-tech companies, all like admittedly in the lore, video game companies, even in Ares, they call themselves video game companies, working to bring things from the grid into the real world for their own purposes. And that's the story, is the race between the two. It's almost like an arms race, but with technology. And then lastly, the last, it's not really even a B story because it's so intertwined in everything else we talked about. But while that's happening, you have Ares, who is Jared Leto himself, the character, and his growth into humanity. So learning to be human. And that is, in essence, the plot points. That is, without going deep into story, if you go into it now, that's what you'll watch. Are those calling cards. That is the pillars of your story right there. Jake, I want you to go ahead and start. We're going to get into performances here. We talked a little bit about Jared Leto, and I want you to expound upon your take on Leto, but beyond Leto, because Greta Lee was, again, our main protagonist in Eve Kim. Evan Peters was Julian Dillinger, who was our main antagonist. You also had the return of the big man himself, and I'll let you take over from here.
Okay, so Jared Leto, something I said in the car ride back with Ryan was that I'm unsure if it is a compliment to say that, like, man, he played a very convincing performance of an AI trying to be human, right? Or wanting to be human, um, and I just don't know. It's very Pinocchio, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
very I want to be a real boy, and so Jared Leto went to see the first Tron back in the 80s. Like sometimes we forget that Leto is, what'd you say, 52, 53?
Yeah,
Um, which is crazy to me because he doesn't look like that at all. I mean, he's definitely doing he avoids the sun,
at all
obviously,
costs. Yeah,
at all cost.
he don't smile.
Um, no smile lines, no sun, sunscreen if he's under LEDs,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but he did amazing, right? Like I just think that he was everything that that character should have been. And I'm unsure if that's the Jared Leto weirdness or if he's truly pulling a Henry Cavill level of love for the IP and just lore in general. He seems I mean, we can joke about how enveloped he is because I don't know if this was true or not, but he was sending malware to his fellow co-stars. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a very Jared Leto thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he's not necessarily liked all the time on sets as he gets way too enveloped. And it's not even just method acting, that's just something odd to do
Yeah.
to your co-stars, whether it's true or not. I can't. It's if it's a rumor, there had to have been something that happened. So it might not have been like malware, but he might have sent suspicious links. I think that's might have been what it was, or just really suspicious links to places that you could probably pick up a virus. But all that coming back to him in this movie, um, like I said, carried it on his back. Like this movie was about his story as Ares, and it was, believable every step of the way that he was struggling with this inner turmoil. And once he, and once we get to the conclusion, um, it really makes sense that like that would be his next step.
Mm.
So trying to remain spoiler free here, but like putting myself in the shoes of that one, you know, that's what I would probably do next. Um, there might be some other things, but like that would be the next step, is to go down that path. Um, Ryan, do you have more to say about our next protagonist than I
So,
do?
I mean, not really. We both. So the reason he asked is because we both agreed on a very small, like it's 4 words. Is was our take on Greta Lee, her Kim or her Eve Kim, and it's failed by the script. So she. The thing is that there really wasn't a talent we'll go over that did not deliver for this story, right? They
Right.
all were very convincing and believable that they were the character they were portraying. It's just that the character, when they would say things, it's like I don't know. The script was really weird. So again, it's like when you heard Greta say something, you're like, okay, like that's believable. You can tell like she's doing a very good job. Same thing with Leto. But again, it's like, why are you just talking? Like I don't know. Like I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's a lot of I've heard a lot of critique about it's too much exposition, like stating what you're doing for no
Yeah.
reason. And I agreed with that and kind of like yeah, I don't know. And so I think that was kind of the weirdness of it.
Which that goes back to like Disney scripts, and that's what I mean by a Disney script. We're seeing this new age of script writing uh, come about, especially in the bigger companies where it's hand holding, right? They are peddling to um, not just a singular generation, but an audience that has a phone in their hands, and this was written for streaming. So you have to audibly say what you're doing because they're not watching. You have to, if they are watching and your first establishing shot is of a city, you have to put the date like 1948 and New York,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to show those things because people either one can't tell what year it is based on the skyline, which used to be fairly common knowledge. Like you actually could tell um, back in the day. Like they wouldn't do that. They didn't do that in old films. They did not put dates, and they might have put the city. But if there's an Empire State Building, or if there's the World Trade Centers, or like there are distinguishable landmarks that should tell you it's New York. Um, in these older films, and now like they don't do that. They write it out on screen, big bold letters,
Mm.
so you don't miss it. They're in New York, or somebody says they're in New York, or the hand holding has, and that's a take that's outside of um Tron in particular, but like the hand holding in the script writing nowadays is far more present,
Yeah.
I think.
There's
But
there's no
so
ambiguity. Like there's no
no,
level of like building the world.
well, there's no like allowance to figure it out yourself. Like
Hmm.
why would I get into the lore, the movie, and the backstories if everybody just says everything, right?
Yeah.
um Out loud. It's just very, and that's just one of the problems I think with the script, outside of um thinking a little, sorry for the dead air. I always do this. I get on
No,
a
no.
topic and then but it's just the odd things that people would say. It's not just like what they're doing or how they feel. Like I'm saying how I feel. It's just why that was the best thing we could come up with in this scene. Like and now I'm gonna bash a generation here. It's very millennial,
Yeah.
right? The things that some of them say, it's like, he's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, some stuff like that, like those tropes. It was just like, why did you say that? Like, why?
It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
Well,
So anything else could have been said, if nothing at all.
it feels very much like when you think of you talk about Disneyfied it, right? I've seen the term Marvel, like Marvelified or
Yeah,
Marvelification. I
I've seen
think
that a lot with this one.
yeah. But the thing is when you even go to the Star Wars sequels, like they all feel this way. They all feel this way. Like they're aesthetically very pleasing. Like the acting is fine, but it's like there's something off with the script. Like there's something off, and it really does kind of feel like they don't trust audiences. Like so they want to handhold you, like you're saying. But I don't know. This one just there are a lot of moments, and we'll get into that very soon. We'll get into there's one in particular, and it's right at the very
The
beginning.
actual moments.
Yeah, yeah. It's well, there's one right at the very beginning that proves your point right away that we'll get into, but it reveals a poignant plot point that I want to say for the or the spoiler section of our episode. But yeah. So looking at the other actors here, I'm not going to take because I'm looking at a document and Jake has some very eloquently written like thoughts for some of these characters. But looking at them, so going down the line here, we're going over Julian Dillinger, who is played by Evan Peters, Kevin Flynn, played by Jeff Bridgers. It's not a shock; he's in every trailer now. But yes, he is in there, and Seth Flores, played by Arturo Castro. So the first of which, Julian Dillinger, it's Evan Peters. If there's anything that he can do, he can play the brat. He can play the villain. Think of
Dahmer.
yeah, like they'll think of like yes, Dahmer, but I mean I go all the way back to his like time on American Horror Story when he played
Yeah.
that like self-loathing bratty teenager who was just like
Well,
his I know what he ended up being, but like that villainy like and he
yeah.
plays it very well. Jeff Bridgers is just Jeff Bridgers. Kevin Flynn is and has always been just the man behind
Wise guide,
yeah,
right? Wise old man guide, like trope kind of
hippie.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The dude.
I did miss one. I'm sorry. Ajay what's his last name? Sign?
AJ?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
AJ.
yeah.
Singh. Is it AJ Singh?
Uh,
AJ Singh?
Singh, folks. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But the actor's name is Hassan Minaj. So
Yeah.
he did fantastic too, and we'll talk a lot more
Sing.
about him. Um and then I won't even lie, Seth Flores as a character was just unnecessary. He literally had no
Yeah.
point. Not that the actor did bad, but he had no point. Anyway,
So,
go. Sorry, Jake. I took up
well,
a
in
lot of your time.
terms of Julian Dillinger, Evan Peters' performance, like you had said, he'll perform I mean, he was Quicksilver in a lot of the Marvel movies or the X-Men movies, not necessarily Marvel, but X-Men movies, where he could play that like the brat, but like not. He just knows he's faster than everybody else. So this one, he is. I would call him the cookie cutter, uh, something to prove, bratty silver spoon CEO who wants nothing more than to win the approval of the board, and who's on the board but his mom. And so mommy issues level where she just doesn't agree with the way he runs the business. Um, and he's seeking her approval by any means necessary, which is a quote from the movie that we will spoil later. Um, and outside of his, I mean, great performance, I still think he was limited by the script that he was given.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not many instances that I can come up with off the top of my head, but it was just that's not what I would have thought the character would have said in those moments, I guess. And so I don't know if that's shared amongst other audience goers, but it's just like this. It's very weird. I think he's toying with if he really wants to be as evil as he should be, or he really wants to be as what am I looking for? Like not a babe in the woods. Like what am I
Mm-hmm.
thinking about? The word there is innocent.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
teetering back and forth, and I wish he'd choose all in. And maybe that's the point of the character is he's somewhat morally ambiguous, but at the end of the movie, I mean, that's what you get for not choosing. And I'm not going to spoil it, but like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
I
it
felt like he could either be more evil or just plagued by his actions, I guess. So
there were definitely a lot of moments where at least I feel like maybe others felt too, where it was like, oh, is he gonna have a change of heart? It's like, oh, he this is his redemption arc, and it just never happened.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
So and then you have a hotter take about the supporting cast between the CTO and then like the personal assistant um to Eve Kim. Um so your hot take there was that what?
Seth
One of them shouldn't have been.
Flores shouldn't even have been a character. I think
And
AJ.
so
Sorry, we'll go into that
we'll
later.
break I would rather you break that down now as in like
Yeah, yeah. So
um
Seth Flores is they didn't actually describe what his relationship was to her, but apparently he is a personal assistant. But
well that's what I would have called him. I mean she
yeah,
calls him up for things
they talk
and he
like
does it.
I guess yeah. And so I don't know. I felt like the way that their interactions were, it made it seem like they might have been more than that. But it's like maybe they weren't. It was weird. They didn't outright say what. And when I say them, I mean Eve Kim, our main protagonist, and Seth Flores, because at any point you see Eve and Seth together, and they don't say what he is to her. He's just there. And so my thing with Seth is that I feel like, man, we're getting real close to spoiler here, but like I feel like there's a lot of things that he was doing that was described as being some attribute of another character that we didn't get to see. Or
Mhm.
like, so again, like right before that, we're talking about AJ, who is the chief technology officer for NCOM. And later,
Yeah.
I mean, even in the story, he's like, that's why I have the corner office. He does something really fancy technologically.
Yeah.
And you're calling the
Which
personal assistant.
yeah.
And
So she that's what I was like wanting to pull out of you was that like you've got this CTO who's supposed to understand like I mean you're a CTO like you should
yeah,
at least have a major grasp on a company that's doing these crazy things. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking world-changing level things, and you're the CTO of this company
Hmm.
that is doing things world-changing digitally. And now we're following the CEO who should be on the same, if not better,
Yeah.
and they are not in this like in this story interwoven and like the partners in crime, the duo. We're getting a personal assistant that follows her around and is like the punching bag or the he that is it is the character that like tells the jokes like that is the Disney script trope that there's always has to be that funny character who's arguably not that funny.
See, that's you said it, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. Was he wasn't even funny. Like there wasn't even like moments. There was never a singular moment where I was like, "Ha!"
Yeah.
Like it's just there.
Yeah.
That adds more to it. I guess to my point is just like he's so unnecessary, and it would have been more powerful had it had been AJ, the CTO, and
Right.
it would have made a lot more sense. And the thing
And
is,
then
too,
bouncing things off of each other
yes,
and like tech stuff. Like I just
yes,
feel like we missed the passion for the project because we had somebody saying how many microwave burritos they had.
yeah, they
Like
could eat in a yeah.
I don't
I
know, like it.
super
So
again. Arturo, the actor who plays him, did fantastic. Like again,
yeah,
he did the best with the script he had, and he did a good job. But the character itself was unnecessary, and I'm shocked it made it past. Whoever read the script and approved that, I'm shocked it made it past that room, because it's like they just didn't care. Is in that element of the film. So
right.
our last two things we'll go ahead and get to, unless you had something else to say before.
I've got nothing more for the cast or the performances really. I mean,
Okay.
it just all comes back to a central thing. It's just like it's it's a Disney movie, and I think if we can get past that, these next 2 points is why you should watch it.
Yeah. So if you want to critique it, that's how you have your critiques and be valid. If you want to watch it and enjoy it, and you're looking for things to enjoy, the cinematography is fantastic. Outside, we also described like the actors doing a good job. That is direction. Like the director did the best with the script he had. I don't know how much. The director's name is Joaquin Roning. We were talking before the recording. The man, unfortunately has a not so great track record with Disney, as he directed the sequel to Maleficent, which is Mistress of Evil, which was not received well and ended that franchise after two. It might have had, I don't know if it ever had a plan for a third, but it definitely ended after that one, which he directed the sequel. And then he directed Dead Men Have No Tails, the fifth installment into the Pirates of the Caribbean, which killed that one too. And now it looks like he has a third franchise killer under his belt in Ares, and we'll get into that later as well. But in terms of direction, I can't blame him. I can't fault him, because again, every actor we've talked about, they did a good job. They did a good job. And from a technological standpoint and from a visual standpoint, it is gorgeous. It is stunning. Yep. Like, I almost want to go back to watch it in 3D, just because the visuals, imagining that popping out of the screen and being like you could almost touch it, like that would be an experience in and of itself. So in terms of like, editing was fine. The pacing was a bit wonky. It's a very fast-paced movie. If you're going for a good time and you don't care about lore and you're really just like, you're in it because you like sci-fi or you like almost fantasy, because technically, like, Tron kind of fits into some fantasy realm area, and you just want to have a good time with a good score and some fine acting, but you don't really care much about like the story beat for beat. You want to just go enjoy a movie. Ares is for you. It's fine. But it's just, if you care like we do here, if you care about the fine details, if you care about Tron, me and Jake have talked again, as we've said today and in previous weeks, we love Tron. Grew up watching Legacy and just the lore behind it. So that's why we kind of have our critiques, but there's not necessarily one major flaw. It's just that there's a lot of confounding problems that we're just about to get into. But in terms of everything listed here that I'm going to read to you, direction and style, under that we have cinematography, editing, pacing, and music. Cinematography and music's great. Pacing's a little iffy, and the editing's fine. Again, it's what they had.
It's very much a Disney action movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of Marvel. It's kind of Free Guy, right? Like, I don't know. It's very Disney action, I guess.
A term
But
we coin here a lot is nostalgia baiting, and that's what this was a lot of.
Yes. And I think that's general consensus with like most of the people who are watching it and reviewing it on Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes and Reddits, is like, you'll have the different reviews, but they all kind of like come back to, it's a nostalgia bait by Disney who's trying to make some money. And in the long run, it will likely not make money.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. We're about to transition here into our spoilers, so we're going to go ahead and give you the warning. Spoilers beyond what Jake is about to share with you, because Jake has a really important comment that kind of adds to how people think about this movie, perceiving it before they've even watched it. So,
and I think that's why it flopped.
Yeah.
So this perception that the Leto curse, which I've alluded to in the past 20 minutes, was, I'm seeing a lot of, I'm not going to watch. I won't watch it because Jared Leto's in it.
Yep.
And if that's the only reason you're not going to watch this film, then you're wrong. Like, I think Leto was the best part of this. And like I said, I don't know if it's a compliment if he did a really good at acting as an AI, but if that's your only reason, wait till streaming comes out. If you don't want to spend the money and you pay for streaming for Disney, then watch it there. But don't let Jared Leto be the reason you don't.
Yeah. And you can not like actors, but the thought of like a massive boycott on a film that is like arguably okay for most audiences, it's unfortunate, because again, Leto was fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Sorry, what were you saying, Jake?
I was gonna go into the next transition.
Okay.
But if you have
Beyond this point, sorry, it looked like you were going to say something. I didn't want to interrupt you. There are spoilers galore. We're going to talk in depth about plot points and everything that went into this film. We're not going to give you like a walkthrough of the story, but we're going to definitely be talking about the big points. So if you want to go see it, if we've convinced you that it's worth your time to give it a watch, pause here and come back later to hear what we think, and we'd love to have your comments down below. But going into our now spoiler-filled discussion, the major arc of the story, again, and this goes back to your point I was going to talk about earlier, is there are points where it's like, why'd you say it like that? And so the way the story begins is you're introduced, you see Sam Flynn, but only an image of Sam Flynn. If you're wondering this whole time, where's Sam Flynn? He's not in it.
Where's Quora?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not in it. They
Yeah.
do not exist in this. They exist, but they're not in this story.
Right.
Which
No Olivia Wilde.
no, we will come back to that. That's going to be a point, but keep that in mind. Between 2010 and 2025, in like lore, like story time, I will say, and like real life in the story, um, Sam Flynn takes control of NCOM, which is Kevin Flynn, his dad's company, and he steps down, and that's how Eve Kim becomes NCOM CEO. That's how she gets control, and that's how Dillinger, I'm about to say Jared Leto, Evan Peters, and her are rivals, right? Jared Leto was born from the grid created by Dillinger, and so on and so forth. And the whole story, the entirety of the story, is the search for what's called the permanence code. The permanence code allows something scanned from the grid into reality to last forever, longer than the 29-minute threshold that no one can break. So in the film, you see Jared Leto scanned into reality, and then 29 minutes later, they literally have a ticking clock. He de-reses, but disintegrates, and he awakens back in the grid. So the whole point
So
of the story is to find the
in
permanence code.
Legacy, like when someone gets hit with a disc,
Yes,
that's like
they de-res.
and they die, that's de-resing.
Yes.
And so but yeah, sorry, I cut you off there, but like that is what de-resing is. And after 29 minutes, I mean, it's very gruesome.
Yeah.
Like it's actually, if that was in a thriller or a horror movie, like that, it's very convincing. Like that is very scary because it's not just cubes like it was in Legacy, where they were in a video game, when they die they turn into cubes and they kind of just fall away. This is like ash, like they're burning from the inside, they turn gray, it's very black pupil, and they turn to like cubed ash.
Yeah.
And it's off-putting because they scream in agony when it happens.
Yeah.
um every single, and it happens multiple times because this is like a 2-hour movie, and they get scanned in probably about 4 or 5 times,
Each character that does get
each
scanned.
character.
Something that I noticed too that I was really interesting is that when they get scanned in, it looks like 3D printing. Did you catch that?
Right. And so, and I was wondering if you caught this, and I was going to say, I was saving it in my back pocket for this podcast specifically, was the difference of the scans from the companies was a very nice subtle touch. So the Dillinger Systems, who are worried about fast-paced corporate life and just getting this done, War Machine, like churning stuff out, it's a very clunky, and they're trying to go fast, and like sparks are flying, and they've got like um 3D, like you said, 3D printing architecture around the builds and the people. So if anybody knows, if anybody doesn't know what 3D printing, like when you 3D print something, sometimes you have to like diagonally angle it if your printer's not tall enough, or if you have something really like elaborate or something, you have to build structures around it to hold it up while it prints. And so you're actually printing structures to hold up your design, so it doesn't crumble during the print, because that'll ruin it entirely. And people do lose designs because their structure failed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's happening on the Dillinger Systems side, but I don't think it was happening on Incom. Incom was straight printing without structures. It was very clean. It was very like Tron Legacy level of nice and minimal and just and fast, much faster than
Yeah.
Dillinger Systems was printing. And then you go back to them when they print something. I mean, it was, sorry, I'm reiterating, but like sparks are flying.
Yeah.
It's very loud. Everybody's got to wear glasses, and like sunglasses, because it's so bright, and they're shoving so much energy through it. Several different lasers at a time, just building it, and
Yeah.
it's honestly like very unoptimized, I guess.
Yeah.
Whereas
Which
Incoms is, I mean, chef's kiss. They only had like 3 lasers doing it.
yeah.
Um,
Well, and that
Smooth.
paints too like the catching up in the race that Dillinger is obviously behind NCOM, which has been a whole thing throughout this whole story, is like how advanced NCOM is. But two, something that Tron always plays on and has played on since its inception is color scheme. So when you're looking at when they are scanning something from the grid and bringing it to reality, Dillinger's like lasers are red and NCOM's is a bright blue, almost white. So it's like these little things that are like they're nice little touches that have always been throughout. So it's like these little things that they keep in the lore that are consistent are very nice. Something that I did notice too, Dillinger's bright red, it's been orange before.
Like it's orange in prior movies.
Always been orange, but in this film the orange is gone and it's all bright red. So if it's not the blue, it's not orange, it's red. But continuing on with the story, that they're using that technology that we were describing to bring things from their version of the grid that Dillinger has created to into reality. And again, we described earlier, Dillinger is trying to create the perfect soldier and trying to create like weapons of mass destruction to make a profit. And NCOM, the first thing they like scanned in was an orange tree.
Yeah.
And the idea is that like they can solve the world humanitarian crises. And so seeing that type of that is the differences in the two companies. So the permanence code becomes a big deal. And just kind of long story short, the way that it's found, and it is found 5 minutes into the movie. Like it is like instantly found, because the idea isn't that they're searching for it. The idea is they're fighting for it. So the way that the story starts, after you kind of get your quick synopsis of who's your main players, who's in control of NCOM, where's Sam Flynn, nobody knows. You're in Alaska with Eve Kim and his personal assistant, Seth. And this is to your point you were making earlier, where it was like, why do you say stuff like that? And it's something that stuck with me because it was so awkward. This is 4 or 5 minutes into the movie, and I get this, and I'm immediately like, please don't let this be the tone for the entire film. So Eve Kim walks into this like Alaskan outpost in the middle of the snow. And this is where the joke of like, I could make as many breakfast burritos in this microwave as I want from Seth as they're in this like desolate place.
Yeah.
She opens, like, she gets the generator on and she opens up her like looks like a iMac, like a desktop on the desk, which is surprisingly very new. And she turns it on. In the middle of the screen is a QuickTime movie. She presses it and it opens up, and the first thing that is said, her sister, who you learn is dead, goes, "I knew you'd find it." It's like, I was like, no.
God, like that's the script parts we're talking about.
Yeah,
here. Like it's just like, really.
The second you said that earlier, like jokingly calling it millennial, I was like that's immediately what I thought, and that is how awkward it was when I first saw it on like just less than a week ago. I was like, no, no, please don't say stuff like that. Why would you do that? It's just, I mean, and the thing is too, she clicked on it and then she hit space. She did like, it just not. It's obvious whoever was like behind that didn't try to test this for realism, because it just didn't pop up and play. It just sorry.
So which is another thing. If you're like super techie and into coding and doing all these things, you don't buy a Mac. Mac is such a closed system like piece of hardware that like you have to either one be crazy good at like jailbreaking and I mean, I know coders that use Macs, but there's a level of what they're doing. It's unbelievable. And from a standpoint of like it, I can't believe that someone on the level of an NCOM CEO or which both of them were, use Macs, because you cannot be doing that level of work with like bringing real stuff into the real world on a Mac. I just don't think you're not going to do that. You're not doing that on a Mac. And I mean, not even a laptop, really.
You could definitely tell that was their sponsor, was Apple, because every computer you saw, if it was a brand and not like some futuristic computer, it was a Mac. Yeah. And so, but back to the story, I just had to point that out because that is exactly what we're talking about. It is just so cringeworthy. But going through the rest of just quickly hitting the story, Kim puts in an old floppy disk because for whatever reason, her sister's name is Tess. Tess had all of Kevin Flynn's old like codes and like all of everything he had built on the floppy disks from the 80s. She plugs one in and is like, and Eve is like, "Seth, I think I found it." And this again, 5 minutes in. 5 minutes in, you learn about the permanence code.
I don't know how much time had passed. I thought there was an they alluded to it being several months.
They did.
So I thought it was 6, and that's where it came from. Like he ate 90 breakfast burritos out of that microwave or something. It's like we've been here for 6 months or so. I don't know if that was true. I don't know if that's what they were, and which is fine. I mean, rewatching it will probably tell the tale, but I think they were there for a little bit longer than maybe 5 minutes. But it went from one floppy disk in, and she like there was nothing in there. He's complaining that he's there at all,
Yeah.
um, and then he's complaining that she's not paying attention to him as well. And it's like, dude, come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Y'all, are y'all married or not?
See,
But
yes, see, okay, thank you. Sorry.
and then she does end up like putting a floppy disk in, letting it load, and she's like consoling him for not paying attention, and then it dings, and she right back to it. She's like, I found it.
I hate so like the beginning, I won't lie, and we're going to
Like
stop.
it didn't take much
No, we're gonna
to
stop
find it.
harping on this beginning sequence and just tell you very
Right.
quickly what happened. But this is just everything that we have laid out so far in the non-spoiler. It's like it lives. It's like the prophecy tells itself in the first 10 minutes of the movie, right?
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, I won't even lie. If the rest of the film after the first 35 minutes didn't develop the way it did, I was gonna probably walk out. Like I was so angry and I was upset just because it like the way I described the film was that it feels more like a traditional sequel to the 1982 film, but when you do that, you get rid of the lore that was set out in 2010. So there were a bunch
Mhm.
of things that they just ignored or just completely went around that I did not really like. But anyway, while all this is happening, Dillinger creates Ares, which is Jared Leto, which is the master control for the program or the grid that Dillinger has created to battle with NCOM, and they want the permanence code. And so, long story short, Peters, his Dillinger character, sends Leto, whose name is Ares, after Kim. He falls in love with her, but he doesn't really say he falls in love with her. He disobeys Dillinger, and what was Leto's sidekick, his name or her name was Athena. She becomes the big baddie in the master control, and that's the rest of the story, right? Like that is it. It is Athena chasing, and when we say chase, it is just
Yeah.
constant running, chasing
Which
Eve Kim.
it's a single goal for
Yes,
Athena, being the not the voice of reason, but the opposite of gaining Leto's mission,
yes,
because he had broken his prime directive,
yes,
um, and then she obtains it and follows through.
yes.
Did you have something to
So
end
yeah,
off
I
with?
just want to go back and quickly describe why Leto, or I should just say Ares, broke the
Yeah,
Prime Directive. So they scan Eve Kim into the grid, and they do that because she destroys her little USB stick that had the permanence code when she got back from Alaska. And the idea is that they want to rip the memory of the code out of her brain. But in doing so, when she's in the grid, it will destabilize her and she will be erased from reality. So the
right,
grid will have no memory of her. She won't be in any file. She's gone. And
right.
Leto, who again, his character has been searching for this woman all that this whole time, been reading up on
Mhm.
all her files, been watching all of her TED talks. And that's another thing too. It cracks me up because it's like he like breaks in to NCOM like their back end, and it's this big dramatic sequence. And when he gets into their servers and he's like, "I have the files," he watches a TED talk.
Yeah. Well, he after that is told to like research
Right.
her and find her, and it's more than just like watching every YouTube video on this famous CEO. It's like hacking into her phone
Yeah.
and all of her socials and seeing everything in her camera roll, good and bad, he mentions later. And it's y- there's he sees the humanity, I guess, and he desires that. Like it's not jealous, it's envy. He really
No.
wants that piece
Yeah.
of life. And then we see something that reoccurs with Athena as well, is something about rain like awakens these AIs into like breaking their prime directives. And
Yes.
so the first scene we see Leto before he dereses is it's raining and he feels it, and like that's where he learns like like feeling,
Perception.
perception, and that's what gets him down the path of seeking something more, which is permanence and to be a real boy.
Yeah.
And then after researching him and realizing that life has so much more than what he's used to being expendable, um, that's what forces him down the role of being the main protagonist. We see the same thing with Rain, with Athena,
Yeah.
and then that's never explored, and
Nope.
she remains the big bad. She like sprinkler system goes off when she's chasing Kim, uh, and she has this realization moment of like what feeling is and perception, and then she dereses, and that ultimately like saves Kim is her hesitation there, Eve Kim. So, but then it never goes into anything else. Once she is reprinted, nothing changes.
Yeah, I would have liked, because I think what it insinuated there is that she and Ares both had Athena is who is the
Yeah,
character we're talking about. Athena and Ares both had a choice and they chose differently, which
yeah,
ironically shows their humanity more than it shows anything else, because they both perceived yet they chose differently. And
yeah.
so I think that would have been a really cool avenue to go down if it were talking more about, because the thing is that like another critique I've seen about the film is that it doesn't really say anything. I think it says a little bit, but it doesn't it's like it won't say it with its chest. It's like it wants to hint at things. And I think that's where it could have gone down that route to say, technology, if life is perception and we create something that perceives, is that life, right? That would have been a
Mm.
really cool kind of back and forth, kind of like mental gymnastics and exercise to walk through with an audience, but they don't go that far, because I think that they
Mhm.
wanted to sell toys more than they wanted to make a statement like the other Trons do.
Right. I
But
think Disney might have been scared to make a point because they lean so heavily into AI, whereas Tron Legacy, well, AI wasn't a thing in
yeah,
2010,
yeah.
really. Um, and so their programs and their programs are the people in Tron, and now these guys, Ares and Athena, are all called like AIs, like they're
Yeah.
AI. They're an AI security program, and I think Disney was scared to find firm footing on either side of how they wanted audiences to perceive AI.
Yeah.
And so they took the easy way out and said, one chose this way, one chose the other way.
Yeah. Oh, and then they
Who's to
ignored it.
say what the future looks like if you give AI perception?
It just
We
sucks
don't
because
know.
they were right there. Like that was
Yeah,
that was a cool moment. And anyway, we'll move on past Athena and Ares and their differences. And again, my main point is missed opportunity, and we're gonna get into
right.
that a lot once we get. We're just gonna finish this really quick. The coolest part of
Which,
the film. Sorry, go ahead.
well, and after you get done with your thought, tying it into where Kevin Flynn comes in, and then
See,
how the
going right there.
yeah,
So
yep,
the coolest part of the film, and this is directly following when Athena is chasing um, Eve Kim and Ares. The reason that they're running to NCOM is because they know that they have the floppy disk in their possession that contains the permanence code. What that
they have
floppy
a
disk,
copy
yes,
like in this model set of Kevin Flynn's office
original office.
at the top floor of Incom is they have his original office
Why is that there?
with
First
with a
off,
working
why is
computer
that
and
there?
all of his data, and it's actually connected to the server,
Which is
which is also
absurd.
funny.
Yeah, but anyway,
Working office. If he
anyway.
ever came back, if he ever came,
Yeah, you
he
ever if
could
he
be in this fish bowl that everybody watches him
can
work.
you imagine you walk by that office and you look in there and he's just sitting in there in the Tron garb and everything just working?
He just came out
What up,
because
man?
there
Like,
was one, no, the laser wasn't in there, but
but
yeah,
it
I
does
yeah,
become it does get put up in that room. But the idea is that the reason that they're there and at NCOM, the where Athena feels the fire or the water from the sprinkler system. They're in the top floor of NCOM, and the reason that they're there is because they have that copy of the original Tron from 1982. So it's really cool because they used like the same CGI effect to recreate what Tron looked like in the 1982 film. So Ares goes to the 1982 version of Tron, and he meets what is it? He meets a bit who takes him to Kevin Flynn. And
yeah.
long story short, as that's happening, NCOM is trying to hack Dillinger because Dillinger is sending Athena back to get Eve Kim.
And
to
that's where
scan.
we see the large spaceship.
Yes,
And
that you
yeah,
see in all the trailers. And as that's happening, she's again more running because all Eve Kim can do to save herself is run
and
for her life.
she's running through the city on foot
Yeah,
with this giant ship and like hundreds of drones, which is what you guys see in the trailer with like all the streams of light coming out. Those are drones,
yep.
and she's running on foot.
I'll tell you what absolutely just sent me over the edge. She runs into an alleyway once, and it's obvious that the thing is too big to get in there, and she
Right.
just runs back out to the street. Like, what are you doing?
Which arguably the drones like could go in there and grab
Maybe,
her, but
yeah.
like
I don't know. It just feels better. It feels like a safer bet than trying to run in the open road, literally dead middle of the
where
street.
cameras are everywhere because she has like Athena has access to all the cameras. We
Right.
saw that.
Yeah.
So it's like running through the middle of the street in in the Culver City, I think in Los Angeles
Yeah.
is where it's set. No cars, by the way. Where are they at? You would think that I mean it's later in the or it just turned night. I think we saw sunset, so it's nighttime in this city and there's not a car to be had. And arguably if something like this were to happen at normal hour at like 8 or 9 in a Los Angeles like city, there would be hella
Packed.
cars
Packed.
packed
Yeah.
because there would also be it would be a traffic jam of people looking up, rubbernecking, and wrecks and or I mean they're
Oh, could you imagine how sick this would have been if she was running through
empty
middle of the
streets.
street, but it was like the cars were filled and you saw people? Because what would happen is they wouldn't just like be doing that thing to see the flying whatever it was. They'd be abandoning their cars. So
Yeah, everybody be running.
imagine if she was in the middle of that trying to get away from it.
Yeah,
That would be really cool. But anyway, she's running in the middle of this open street in an LA city. Doesn't make sense. But while that's happening, Athena broke the laser that could have brought back Leto from or Ares from the grid. Turns out there's just another one in Kevin Flynn's old office. He calls it the back
which is
door.
how Legacy started.
Yeah, right. So it's like I yes, that is how Legacy started, but like I guess I just forgot about that one scanner thing, the laser. Anyway,
Yep.
Leto gets out, he has a permanence code, and Eve Kim keeps running from Athena, and then all of a sudden
Which I glossing over Kevin Flynn and I mean script wise performance was okay. I mean
he did yeah.
I thought it was more funny the dynamic that Leto or keep calling Ares and Kevin Flynn had was like Kevin being the construct of it, of the personality was in the first grid. So he is not quite as omniscient as the Tron Legacy Kevin Flynn. He is a much older version of his consciousness, where he's a little bit more fascinated by how far that they've come
Which was cool.
and how he's like quizzing him on Mozart and he's actually like testing whether or not he's going to give this code because he kind of knows what he's there for, really. It seems like he is omniscient enough to know uh, what he's there for, and he's kind of testing him. He's like, it's like Mozart is like the best, or he like loves Mozart, and Aries just says something about like, yeah, I like Mozart, but then I actually really prefer this obscure '80s synth pop band.
Yeah.
And Kevin Flynn's like, really?
Yeah.
Why? And it's like, I just feel like that. And he's like, right answer, right answer.
Yeah,
And
right,
very
yeah.
dude like. And he gives him the code and sends him
I
back
he,
because of that.
his way of saying right answer was he went far out, man. Like he said
Yeah.
something like that, and it was just like, and then it hard cuts to Eve Kim running again. like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like as that's all happening, as Eve Kim's getting trapped, as she's getting like just literally just running for her life. It is the most memeable clip ever. If you did like one of those crappy animations where it was like breaking down the trailer, it would be Ares and Kevin Flynn like being bros, hanging out on a couch talking about philosophy, and it's hard cutting to fire running through the streets, explosions, and just hard screaming from the whole time. Like literally, like
Yeah.
that is the movie at this moment. So anyway, Ares gets the permanence code. He pops out at the Kevin Flynn old what was it called? The place called his old
It's an arcade.
arcade.
Really.
That's it. Yeah, he pops out of the old arcade, and his suit's all black, and he walks
Yeah.
up, and
It's turned off
yeah
because he's a real boy now.
yeah. He pops up at the end of the street, and Athena stops. She's in like this giant tank thing with Eve Kim in the back. he pulls out his what is that thing called? I'm blanking now.
It's data disk
Data
or
disk.
something like that.
But it's not really a disc. But it's more like a triangle thing. But anyway.
Yeah, they did something weird with the discs in this movie where Ares and if you're what do they call it? Master Control gets a different disc. So everybody else had circles still, but Master Control, when Athena inherited it, also got a triangle disc.
Yeah. So he pulls out his triangle disc and he gets in that position. He like superhero poses and his suit turns on and it was blue.
Well, I thought it was white.
White or blue. I think it was meant to be blue, but it was white.
Very light blue.
I think what that means, the white is they're the users, and the colors
that's
are
right, because he's real.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna say white.
That is what I'll say white, but like usually it's like the light color, whatever, right? The white, because Eve Kim was also that white color when she was in the grid. So he's real now, and so he's the white color, and Athena's like, "What did you do?" And they had this big epic fight, and long story short, remember a while ago when we said AJ and NCOM were trying to hack into Dillinger? They do it, and after he hacks, they hack into Dillinger, they shut down the grid, or it's really cool, like the concept of like
nuke, nuke the other grid.
You know how you can like send like malware and nuke someone's
58 petabytes of just malware videos. And nuke the other grid is basically what they did.
The way that they perceive that is really cool because it looks like a nuke of the opposite color literally hitting the grid, which was really cool. That was a cool concept. But that destroys or essentially shuts down the grid of Dillinger. And lo and behold, Ares wins. Athena times out. And the end of the movie is you have Leto traveling the world. NCOM is able to sustain and create all these things and fix the humanitarian crises of the world. And it hints at Quora and Sam Flynn from the original coming back. End of movie. That is it. In about 15 minutes, we just walked you through the entirety of the movie.
Right.
So...
And that's not with like all the cool visuals and effects. No. The reason why you go watch a Tron movie.
Right.
And then not even like glossing over 9 Inch Nails, which everybody seems to also be like, it's like, if you were trying to surpass Daft Punk, that's the wrong goal to have. It's be your own. And they accomplished that. And they are better. The movie's better for it.
The scene when Ares is riding on like what looks like a jet ski on like the sea of like code when they're going to escape, that sound and that tune that was playing, because it wasn't like it gave intensity, but it wasn't intense. It was very low key, and it was just the way that it just gave seriousness. How do I describe that? It was almost like, I almost want to say luminal. Like it felt like it just you just got to hear it. And so it's like,
it was the beauty. It was we were not transported, but like we were in Kim's viewpoint of she is marveling, never being in the grid before and having a chance to slow down, even though they're on a jet ski like thing, and being able to appreciate even Dillinger's systems version or their server, the grid.
I think you pointed it out perfectly.
The music, like persona.
Yes. Jake froze on me, and he'll be back here in a second. But like it just made technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. That's all my bad. My internet died for all of 5 seconds. But anyway, back to Tron. The point I was making before we let out was like that scene that we were describing, it made it feel epic. It made it feel massive. And the thing is, shockingly, the coolest part of the movie was when they were in the grid. The part that made the film like, whoa, was when they were in the place that the whole movie's made for. Whoa.
You know, like what they did with the Legacy and the original, where that was the point. The coolest part was the whole point.
Yeah. So I think this is a great point to bring up. Our second bullet point here is debate with what worked and what didn't, right? So like what worked for the film. I feel like we've already kind of gone into this a lot up to this point. Again, just to kind of reiterate, if you went into this to watch an action movie with great visuals, a pretty basic, straightforward plot, you're really not there to be blown away, and have a great soundtrack. The acting was good. The soundtrack's great. The visuals are amazing. Watch it. You probably will enjoy it. It has an 86% on the popcorn meter from audiences on Rotten Tomatoes for a reason, because the average viewer thought it was cool.
Right. And that's with this movie. I would call that a win. Like I walk out wanting to ride one of those like Tron anything like in the movie. I want to drive it. Like I think like even the sticks when they slam them together and it turns into something. That's
Oh,
sweet.
yes.
That's sweet, and it's like everything in there. It sucks we didn't see the car like from Legacy. Like that
I
was really cool,
know. I
you
know.
know. But we got a tank. We got a tank out of it with a bulldozer blade on it. Um, Obviously the Tron bikes as always, and then the large floating thing. We also got like these weird booster gliders that people like you step into. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
and they close up around you and you kind of like lay down flat and you fly it around like a hang glider, but you got like four boosters on your feet.
Don't you have like
And that
guns on it too? Didn't they shoot from those
probably
things?
guns,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so very awesome, always awesome with the vehicles
Yeah.
in Tron. But I think that's like most of the spoilers we could possibly say,
We ran through the
right?
movie like
Yeah.
as succinct as we could. So this is kind of where I'm going with this because this is my whole takeaway. We'll do this and then we'll give quick audience and critic review and then we'll rate it ourselves. So very fast we'll go through this. My whole thing, I've described missed opportunity within the movie as is, right? Where the biggest piece of missed opportunity is for me, it's not what they were able to put on screen, it's what they chose to ignore, i.e., making this a reboot and not bringing back and making this a part of the Flynn family story completely ruined it. And I think that's why the film, if when we rate it, it will be lower than what I would probably want to give it if it were connected. So the idea of imagine if this was a traditional third film, and I walked Jake through this right after we got out. What if Eve Kim was not the CEO, but it was still Sam Flynn, okay? Now, keep in mind, like this has been his character after 15 years. Why would Sam Flynn want the permanence code? Mind you, let's go back to Legacy. How did Legacy end, Jake? What was the last thing you saw?
They rode off on the bike and it's wanted to start. I don't know if they were gonna date. I don't know what the whole they were friends or.
Yeah.
I thought that was the love interest. Like genuinely, the 2010 movies always were. Is the
Yes.
female protagonist and the male protagonist were love interests, and then they were gonna live happily ever after when he drove away on his Ducati.
Right. So that was the idea. There was never a concept of a permanence code. There was never a concept of whatever. But the thing is, it could work. And that was my big thing at the beginning when they were talking about this permanence code and they were like showing these things just disintegrate. I was like, but what about Quora? Like, that's like a whole thing. Like, they completely ignored the end of the last one. What if they didn't? What if Sam Flynn was CEO and the reason that he was so enamored with finding the permanence code and being like and making Encom have that wasn't just because he wanted to live up to his father's legacy and make the grid and make technology and make Encom be what he dreamed it would be and not just a video game company, but he was trying to bring back Quora because 29 minutes after they rode off into the sunset, she disintegrated. That would have been so much more powerful. Every plot point that Eve had, her trying to live up to the legacy of her dead sister, right?
I would argue that like Sam Flynn going into his grid to be with her was like a normal thing, and that's why he was like,
yeah,
yeah,
sure. Something like that. Like, but like he's trying to find a reason or he's trying to find the permanence code so that he doesn't have to go into the grid so that she can come out because she wants to leave, right? So it's like that's like that
and
was
she or more like she doesn't want him there or like to remind her or anything. Like she doesn't like de-resing, which
yeah,
arguably
obviously.
who
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
And so there is probably a level of disconnect where they don't work out.
Yeah.
And there's probably like we're theorizing here, trying to make this quick, but like that is the alternate story that I feel like and
Yeah.
you feel like is a far better story than introducing new people. You could have Ares still with Dillinger,
Yes.
like you could have all that, but like new CEOs and new people, maybe have a CTO, but like I don't
Well,
know. I think the turmoil is the other way around,
yeah.
right?
See, my thoughts are Eve Kim becomes a CTO and is everything AJ was, and
Yeah.
everything we talked about what AJ should have been is what she is to Sam Flynn.
Uh-huh.
So she is the tech wizard that she should have been as the CEO, but as Sam Flynn's CTO, right? So they do the same things, like they're doing whatever. Sam is looking for his father's permanence code that he learns after he leaves the grid for the first time. right? He's going into the grid to, again, the legacy of his dad and to get Quora to give her permanence so she can leave the grid because she doesn't like derezzing. And they both know that they would be a safer life outside of the grid if they like wanted to be there or if they wanted to be together. And then on top of it, you're dealing with the rival company that your dad's been dealing with since he was your age. And the new CEO, who's this snotty, bratty, silver spoon Evan Peters, is trying to do the same thing, but for war.
Yeah.
That makes that, and then you can add on top of it everything we talked about, what they could have said about AI, right? Like the idea of permanence. Quora could struggle with existence because she was able to perceive outside, right? Same thing that we saw with Athena, and that we eventually saw with Ares, which you could still have. So it's like all these things could have simultaneously existed as they were. You could have expounded upon it a little bit, but with Sam Flynn, that makes that story infinitely more not just entertaining, but engaging and intriguing. So I was really, that's where I think it missed out on a huge opportunity. Bring back the dude. What's the actor's name that played Sam? Bring him back because
I had it up here. It was
that would have been otherworldly, and that would have made so much more sense.
Garrett Hedlund.
Because imagine this: someone goes into the 1982 version of Tron and runs into Kevin Flynn, but what if it's Sam?
Yeah,
he hasn't seen his dad in 15 years after he sacrificed himself to allow his son to leave the grid, with Clue bearing down, and he finds an old floppy with his dad's cognitive like functions. That. What? Old floppy disk. Sorry.
Yeah.
With his dad's cognizant being still there, and he gets to talk to his dad and say, "Dad, I need this." Like, Dad. Yeah. Like, that would have been so much more powerful than what we ended up getting. Not that it was bad. But yeah, anyway, to wrap it up, we're going to go through kind of audience and critic reception. And what's going to happen to the Tron series moving forward, and then our review. So, Jake, take it away.
So, as we've alluded to, this movie from Rotten Tomatoes, which is, how would you describe Rotten Tomatoes? Kind of the main movie critic score that everybody wants to know about a movie.
Yeah.
So Tron got a 53%, which is not, I mean, the lowest in the world, but it's not good on the Mater score, which is what I call it. But it got an 86% on the audience score, as we said prior. So audiences are loving it, of those who actually watched it. Those brave enough to get over the potential curse that is Jared Leto actually really like it. Like an 86% is nothing to hate on. Like if I got an 86% on a film I did, I'd be pretty dang happy, because that means people actually liked what I did. Critics, you can kind of go shove it. But critics had their place. We are critics here, but I'm more in line with the audience score. It seems more often than not, even just outside of this film. Seems like the audience really knows, and I would argue that I'm more audience than I am a critic. So, did you want to go into the legacy that this film leaves, or do you want to go into the critics first?
So, go ahead and go into the critics, and then we'll do the legacy, because I want to continue with this train of thought.
So Giovanni Lago with Next Best Picture says that the message about humanity feels hollow because it's filtered through AI and cartoonish tech billionaire. It lacks the visual dazzle the franchise relies on, and it's a pointless nostalgia cash grab, more interested in setting up sequels than telling a meaningful story. And they gave it a 4 out of 10. I don't think they're unfounded in their beliefs. Was it as visually dazzling as Legacy? No, they didn't spend enough time in the grid and to explore jet skis and other things in this news grid. Mind you, this was Dillinger Systems grid. We have not seen that one before. We didn't see water in Kevin Flynn's, or maybe we did, but we definitely didn't ride on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that the pointless nostalgia cash grab is very apparent. And they did set up a sequel, but I thought it was halfway tasteful, because we got to see the snobby CEO Dillinger actually go to the post nuked Dillinger grid, which I thought was very interesting. And this was like not post credit, but like right at the very end. He like wakes up, or he's constituted, and he gets a disc. It's like, and his disc looks really odd, and that's like very intriguing to me too. It's like a bullseye looking like it looked like Jigsaw Spiral, really. It
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole grid is just a wasteland. And so that's very intriguing to me on what kind of character development we get if we ever see a movie, which is alluding to what Ryan's going to talk about later. We've got Eric Anderson from Awards Watch. He gave it a C plus. It becomes a generic studio fare by the end, complete with Marvel style floating machinery climax. Not wrong. That's pretty much what happened. Big machine floating in the air in the city. Flashy visuals, massy emptiness, AI hype. It's like AI hype in real life, and he's well, very founded. I think a C plus for that reason. He's not wrong. I'm not going to say that he's wrong. We've got a John Nugent from Empire. Gave it a 3 out of 5, so that's a 60%, 6 out of 10. Zero depth, stylish CGI, thunderous 9 Inch Nails score, make it entertaining in the moment. And I think that's probably the realest critic that we'll talk about today. Just being, if you got to be harsh about it, that 3 out of 5 from an Empire critic on the money if you're going to be critical about this. And then Jesse Hassinger,
Yep.
sorry,
No, you're good.
um, from AV Club gave it a B minus, and I resonate more with this critic than anything else. The ideas about AI feel outdated, which they are, I think, or not even founded at all. Didn't choose a side. Um, but the movie works as escapism from the real world, literally. Strong visuals, slick action, and great soundtrack to keep it afloat despite a weak script. At a B minus.
Hessinger's a
And
real one.
yeah, like I can't really. I would probably grade it lower than a B minus. Like I'm closer to the C plus, but for the literal same critique,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like that's my take on it, was what Jesse had said at AV Club. So those are the 4 reviews I picked out of a Reddit thread of somebody listing those. But Ryan, I'm interested in hearing if you resonate with any of these guys or you have a separate opinion.
I kind of have a little bit of all of them, to be honest. I feel like the so from next best picture, Giovanni, how'd you say his last name? Lago. I feel like Lago.
But I don't know if that's true.
His
I don't know
last
if that's true.
sentence is the only thing I agree with. I feel like visually it is stunning for it being set in the real world. I feel like that is very lackluster and very short sighted to call it visually like
Or lacks the
inept.
visual
Yeah.
dazzle.
Whenever it
Yeah.
literally like it's beautiful. I disagree with like I don't know. I don't think it felt like it was filtered through AI. I just feel like the script was just weak. And but I do think this was a cash grab. I do think it was a generic studio fare, as pointed out by Eric Anderson. I do feel like the CGI and the 9 Inch Nails score make it worth watching, if nothing else. But I really do agree with Hassinger for everything you've said. So I have a mixture of all of them, but I think to
Mm-hmm.
call it, I feel like a lot of people are buying into the Leto hate or just hating to hate. But this is a perfect way to lead in. Speaking of Leto, there is a report from the Hollywood Reporter that this is bad for both Leto and Tron, as the film did worse than Morbius. People are comparing this to Morbius, as naturally they would. This is the first real big follow-up past Morbius, which was literally one of the worst films ever made. And it could only be outdone by fellow Sony Spider-Verse spinoff Madam Web, which both are terrible. Jared Leto just happens to only be in Morbius. And so the fact that this made less than Morbius in its opening weekend, I think says a lot. And again, this is a much better film than Morbius. But according to the Hollywood Reporter, reports suggest that Leto pulled in 7 figures or more to star in this film. And this is very much so insinuating that this could be the end of Leto as a leading man. He's already been in the hot seat, not just because of the films he's taken or the roles he's taken, but also he's had a lot of assault allegations and he's had a lot of just personal conflicts that have been very public, that a lot of people are scared of him, and then he picks bad movies that don't make money. And so the problem is all these different things. So on top of the fact that this film did bad, it's looking like Leto's career as a leading man, at least as of right now, is effectively over. He is 53, and there's a lot of opportunity when he ages a little bit to make a comeback if he does some self-healing, if he does some PR self-healing. he could have that opportunity because everyone forgets everything if you just give it enough time. But who knows? As of right now, that's what it's kind of leading towards, according to the Hollywood Reporter, which again we will have sources for you in our bio. But the biggest thing, this is probably the end of Tron as we know it for right now.
For 15 years.
Despite at least. So despite, according to this same report that was discussing Jared Leto, it's looking like Disney's going to retire the franchise, which is absolutely tragic. And I'm to be honest, just it is really heartbreaking because I feel like a lot of it is because it's the Leto hate. If it was anybody else in that lead role, this film would be fine. But because in this franchise
it might break even, I think.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna say it would be like a crazy blockbuster level Minecraft movie or XYZ. Like, but I think if people got over the Leto hate, I think it would have made probably double in its first weekend.
Enough for there to be a sequel, which I would have enjoyed seeing. Again, this film should have been with Quora and Sam, but we would have seen a sequel. That's probably gone. The franchise is probably retired, which is super unfortunate. The fact that there is not going to be any more animation, there's not going to be anything else in this world, is devastating because it is one of the franchises that accurately predicted what technology would look like. Maybe not in name, maybe not exactly in concept, but in idea, in theory, it was so ahead of its time, and there's a reason it's so beloved as it is. And I am devastated just in terms of that knowledge that it's probably gone. And there's a good chance that we don't see another one in our lifetime. And if we do, it's not going to be until we're old men. And so it is tragic, but I'm hoping that there's something that saves it. But that is the fallout so far from this film that is not that bad. I think that's a great transition into what we think of the film and our official ratings here on Beyond the Screen. But just know, if you like Tron and you want to save the franchise, you might want to go watch it because this might be the last time you see it in theaters. Maybe we'll get a series, but who knows? Anyway, now that we're out of the sad, it's time to get into the real and give our reviews out of film reels.
Yeah, something we've decided to, our popcorn buckets or our ticket stubs or whatever people are rating in nowadays. We've chosen film reels.
Yes.
Per our logo.
Yeah, Beyond the Screen. So we will be rating this out of 5 reels. We do point systems, so you will hear like 2.7 or whatever, right?
Decimals.
That's not an official. That's not my official rating on it, but like you will hear those. Don't be mad. It's just going to be the way it is. So I want to start with you, Jake. Give the official Beyond the Screen Jake rating.
Dude, it cannot hit 4 for me. It is not like Jesse's B-. It cannot be a 4 for me. So like I'm going probably 3. I'm thinking here. It's either 3.7 or 3.8. What makes it easier to, right?
Yeah. I think that
like I'm up there, but I'm not up there, right? Like it's definitely
you enjoyed this.
I enjoy Tron. It makes me actually want to watch Legacy more than watching this again. I want to go back and live in Legacy's world. And so, but I mean, so what is that, right? That's a 7.6. That's 76%.
Yeah, not bad.
So it's a C+, right?
Yeah.
Like that's I lean more on the high C than I do a low B. Like I don't think it's a B.
Yeah.
If I have to attribute it to an actual percentage of 100%, so it is a 3.8 reels.
Interesting. You like this a lot more than I thought you would. That's a very high rating in comparison to what I thought you would give it. I knew we were both going to be somewhat on the same page, but I didn't think that you'd be higher than me. Because I jump back and forth on this. I'm going to be 100% transparent. My original thoughts were 2.8 was what I was going to give it. However, that was before we really discussed it pre-recording. Right. And after we talked about the things that we liked, I found myself really liking them. Like I love the score. I love the originality of the things that they did right. And it is just a fun watch. And I don't want to punish a fun movie because it didn't try too hard. Like, that's the thing, is that like it wasn't trying to be anything that it wasn't. And that's why people are mad, is that because they wanted it to be a lot more. So, and I won't punish a film or director because they did with a bad script. They did the best they could. All of the performances were great and all the visuals were great. The score was great. 3.2. I'm giving it a 3.2, so it's a little bit better than a 60%. It's definitely better at 3. So for me, the way I rate them, and I know technically like you're going more off of percentages, you're being very analytical about it, but out of a 5-point scale, the way I say it, a 3 is a good movie, right? Like a 4 is a great movie and a 5 is perfect. So it's
I
like,
find it hard for me to hit 4, if
yeah,
that makes sense to everybody here. Like, if I rate movies in my head when I watch them, it is very hard for a movie to get to 4 for me.
yeah,
And so at a 3.8 is high threshold.
yeah.
Um,
That is
you
very
hit
high.
4, like, to give you some, like, leeway here is, like, Baby Driver is over 4.5 for me. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I think that movie is very, very well thought out, and I love that story. It is above mid 4s. So this hitting at 3.8 with, like you had said, trying to be much more than what it is, the script having helped it more, and
yeah,
with the suggestions we made,
yeah.
I think that's what would have driven it into being a better film.
Yeah, and so I think that this is I think it's a little better than good. I'm not going to say it's great. It's okay. Again, if you enjoy that type of movie, it's for you. I agree heavily with Nugent. With From Empire, it's the story is not deep. The story is very straightforward. It doesn't really say anything about AI that we didn't already know. But when it succeeds, it succeeds. And it's this close. You change a character for one thing and you keep the same concepts, it is up there. Like it is a 4 or more. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep at a 3.2, a soft 3.2. I liked
Yeah.
the film. I had a good time. It did everything that I think it set out to do from an audience for me. There were a lot of frustrations, but I'm not going to punish it for it. I'm not going to punish it because it wasn't what I wanted it to be. If it was trying to be something and it just failed, I think then you punish it with a score that's bad. But the thing is, it wasn't trying to be that. It just wasn't. So I'm
Right.
not going to punish it for being exactly what it wanted to be.
And I guess my final thought, and I'll leave it to Ryan, if he wants to close, is people were harsh on Tron Legacy when it came out, and there's a reason we had to wait 15 years. And with a canceled Tron Ascension that then became Ares 15 years later, there's we're being the way we are now, and I gave it higher because I think it'll come back
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. People will have Tron screenings, and it'll be the 3 movies will be shown. I think give it time, it will gain a better score as did Legacy. It's not
Mm-hmm.
as good as Legacy. It's not going to get as much acclaim as Legacy gets now. Now that there's something to compare to,
Yeah.
but I think it will persevere a little bit and be able to be shown as the trilogy.
I will do you one better. I think Ares will become a cult classic in as short as a couple of years. I think that Ares, think about how people see Tron, like Legacy,
Mhm.
right? The last film. That has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. The
Right.
one before that in 82 has a 65 or 60 something. It's just about the same. Ares has an 86.
Yeah.
I think Ares will become beloved in the
Yeah.
not so distant future, and that will be when Disney might revisit it. And that is that's my hope. That's my saving hope. I think it deserves an 86%? Probably not. But what we said, the average everyday viewer does not care to be blown away with every single screening. They're not looking at like, what is the cinematography? Is that a Dutch angle? What does that say from this character's perspective? They don't do that. So think from that perspective, right? You are making movies for the average everyday person. If Disney hires anyone else but Jared Leto, this film is very profitable. From a
And
person
I
who,
think
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I think you get both sides here with us on Beyond the Screens, where I do see the value as an audience goer and not much of a critic. Whereas I'm watching to enjoy, and Ryan is more of the cinematographer. I am the editor, and I am enjoying what the editor has done from a sound perspective as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Ryan is breaking it apart more as a critic. And so I think that also explains our scores a little bit better too.
Yeah, and I like to think that like I give grace when need be. And so
Mhm.
I think that this film, I think it's fine. I think it's a fine film. It's not great, but like I would rewatch it. I have no problem rewatching it. It's not. Is it going to be something I seek out every other year? No, But like, I could
The
definitely
Legacy?
I could. Oh yeah, I might watch Legacy tonight. Are you kidding me? But
That's what he's saying.
yeah, but that's back to the point.
Yep.
It is entertaining for the people it needs to be entertaining for. If they cast anyone else in the Ares role, it is successful, and we're getting a sequel, but we're not, because people have a thing against Jared Leto. Rightfully so. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the hate. However, I hate that the Tron franchise is going to suffer because of it. My literally final words, missed opportunities. It's a 3.2 that could have been a 4.8. That is where we are.
And final thought. If you want, no, sorry. Final thought. Now, right now, from here on, now, here. If you love us, go watch Tron Ares.
Oh my
so we can get another one.
He goes,
I love Tron.
Why'd you open so strong? Final thought. He pauses. If you love us. That's just so strong.
I need another Tron movie before I'm 30.
That was so unexpected. If you love us. The way, man, I agree. But that I was not prepared for that transition. That was crazy. Yeah, if you love us, chat, please go watch Tron Ares, save it. But no, that's not going to happen.
And if you love the pod, please put in the comments, message us, however means, letter, carrier pigeon, owl. Tell us what you want us to watch and review next.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a review special on Beyond the Screen. We'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.